Who can become President of the United States? Recently, I heard many misunderstandings and questions about this, especially can Donald Trump still become President of the United States, despite the fact that the jury considered him as being guilty. But first of all, I want to emphasize that my videos are not meant as a political statement, and if you have any criticisms, just leave them in the comments. The first criteria you have to fulfill to become President of the United States is that you were no longer president than for one term. It started as a tradition and became an official law in 1951. The President of the United States can only be re-elected once, except you were Vice President of the United States and became President of the United States for any reason. Then being re-elected more than once is possible if the term after moving up was shorter than 2 years. Probably does not affect you either, and since the passing of the law, no candidate was affected by it. Lyndon Johnson, for example, could have become president again in 1968, but he didn't want to. Probably many of you already knew this with the 2 terms, but now the question is, who can become President of the United States who never had the office before? The first thing which is necessary to become President of the United States is that you're at least 35 years old. The youngest president in history was 42-year-old Theodore Roosevelt, but there was a younger vice president. John Breckinridge was 36 years old when he became Vice President of the United States, serving under the 15th President James Buchanan, and the Vice President has to fulfill the same criteria a president has to. One who cannot become President of the United States can also not become Vice President. One who wants to become President of the United States has to prove that they lived in the United States for at least 14 years. We come to the point where I hear most misunderstandings about. I hear very often the President of the United States has to be born in the United States. I even read this in my research, but this can actually not be seen as true. There were indeed some discussions whether someone can become President of the United States, even though they were not born in the United States. The thing is, there has never been a president who was neither born in the United States or an American citizen while the nation was founded, but there were some people who were close to this office. The probably most popular example is John McCain, the senator from Arizona and presidential candidate in 2008. Both of his parents were Americans, therefore he was an American from the day of his birth, but he was born in the Panama Canal Zone. When he was born, it was under American control. If I remember correctly, the judiciary judged that this cannot be seen as American territory. To become President of the United States, you have to be a natural-born American citizen. What does this mean? Well, in the original Constitution, there is no definition. However, the question whether John McCain can become President of the United States was also discussed by the Senate, and the Senate said, without contradiction, yes, John McCain can become President of the United States. The main interpretation I hear nowadays is that a natural-born citizen is someone who was an American from the day of his birth, such as John McCain. By the Senate's decision, there is no definition in the original Constitution, and therefore this is discussed. To summarize, the American president has to be a natural-born American citizen. What this means, not that clear, but it can be said the American president does not have to be born in the United States. The other opportunity would be that you were an American citizen while the American nation was founded. If you were alive back then, try it. So I come to the final and exciting question. Can Donald Trump still become President of the United States? Yes, he can. There is no law that abolishes it. And even if he had to go to prison, he would still be allowed to run for president. And a candidate who was in prison already existed. It was a third-party candidate who didn't win, but he was allowed to participate. But a presidential candidate in prison, it might cause image problems, even though Eugene Debs, that's the candidate I talk about, benefited from this whole story. But nowadays an election campaign from prison might be difficult. But finally, again, no political statement. That's just the way I think about the situation. So finally, if you liked the video, I'd be glad if you leave a comment and a like, or subscribe to my channel, whatever you want to, and I hope to see you in my next video. Thank you for watching.